Hi, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Welcome to the Ahsoka After Show, presented by the Jedi Archives, presented by the Virtual Cantina. This is our second episode. We're super thrilled to do this. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Bryce.
And I'm Mike.
Yes. If you haven't watched the previous show, please watch it. Please comment. We went a little long, but we were just vomiting because there's so much cool stuff. We try and be a little more structured, a little more under control here today. But let's just get right into the episode. First, initial reactions. Bryce.
Solid episode. It's not my favorite out of the three. Kind of understood that getting partway into it, that this is really just more of a building episode to what I think is going to be an epic episode 4, probably even into 5. And kind of understanding maybe some foreshadowing is coming. There was a lot of good lore references. Yes, JT, I love that the Purrgil were there. I think they're essential to Star Wars. I'm going to say that and die on the hill right now. Otherwise, we wouldn't know how to travel hyperspace lanes from galaxy to galaxy if it was not for Purrgil. So, yep, I'm going there.
On this one. I need Mr. Drake's help on this one.
So that's my hot take for JT. Yeah, I kind of understood. I mean, it was short. I'm kind of glad it was short because it was a building episode. But again, it was solid. Not saying I didn't like it. It just, I did like the first two more than this one. But I could kind of see a little bit of maybe Hera making a power play in the future, because I know that going back to episode 1, Phantom Menace, when Padme is trying to get the Senate to do something about coming to Naboo, everything had to be discussed in a committee. The Chancellor did not have any real power. It was bureaucrats, right? Palpatine's Senate. It's nothing but bureaucrats, committees. We're seeing it with the New Republic. Like, Mon Mothma, as the Chancellor, did not have any power, right? She needed to talk it over the committee. The committee did not approve it, right? So I feel like Hera has that Padme role right now within the show, which I'm okay with, because I think she's going to take on a bigger role, a little bit more responsibility within the show. I don't think she's going to overtake it at all, but I think her supporting role within the show is going to be dramatically improved. And seeing Jace was great.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Bryce on the role of Hera, but I think Hera is in a transition here because she was used to, when they were rebels, have a lot more leeway and just say, "Hey, let's go do this." Boom, it was done. They had this secret stash of cash coming in from Mon Mothma, and everything was a lot easier. But Mon Mothma is a true believer of the Senate. So she really does believe in the whole committees, and this is the way we have to rule for the better of the galaxy. And so now she's mired down in what essentially Palpatine was right on that it's going to go into infinite committees and nothing gets done. So especially with a Senate that large. Now for my rating, I really enjoyed this episode a lot more than the first two. But that said, I still feel it's a bridge episode because we still haven't seen all of the preview stuff from all the stuff that we saw in the previews. We still haven't seen it. So until we've seen all those elements, not until then will we be able to move on to like where the story is going. So we're still like in that bridge, still bridging across these preview episodes, and that's slowing things down for me. So I'm not a fan of that, but I understand that it has to be done because there are many new Star Wars fans that are hopping on the train at this stop, and they may not have seen Rebels, they may not have read any books or comics. So it makes sense that for them, for the new casual viewer, this is going to bring them up to speed, and it's got to be slow for them so they can get caught up. But overall, a solid episode. I did enjoy it more than the first two, and I'm looking forward to. I'm chomping at the bit to get into my discussion. So, Don?
My quick hot take was the pace was infinitely better than the first two. The first two, like I said, the rewatch was a little rough because I had to rewatch and take notes and everything. But the pace was really rough the first two. This, no problem with the pace. Totally different everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I didn't fall asleep.
Maybe just trying to do some really emotional, heavy hitting thinking in the first two. But I definitely think the first two are a trailer, and this is to me a bridge outside the trailer. We didn't know there was gonna be a hyperspace ring. We didn't know all that stuff. So I think this is the first step in something new. I liked it. It's very short, but maybe short's not the worst. But I'm just not used to being that short. But I did like it a lot more faster, more intense, whatever the saying is. So I thought that was better. So I definitely enjoyed it. That was my quick hot take on it. All right. So what are some things that you need to talk about, guys? Things that you have to talk about right now.
Mike, you're chomping. Go.
Okay, I have to talk about Sabine not being force sensitive, yet being trained to be a Jedi. And that just doesn't really sit well with me because all I've known about Star Wars is you have to be force sensitive to become a Jedi. So this is the first time that we hear about a non-force sensitive individual being trained to be a Jedi. And Ahsoka specifically says to be a Jedi is blah blah blah, and she's training her with Jedi ways. And she even admits that Sabine does not have the Force, other than the Force residing in all living things, which we all have it. Okay, I mean, Broom Boy would have been a better choice.
Man, that's a hot take, Broom Boy.
So I think we're gonna find out more why she chose Sabine. I really think there has to be some more on that. But this kind of, I don't know. Maybe I've shared this theory with you guys or not before. I know I shared it with Alan before. We talked about this. Ahsoka just reaffirmed my theory. The Force is in everyone. Yoda says it's in everyone. We're all luminous beings. We all have the Force in us, but it takes talent, and you have to do hard work, train at it. Just like a sport. Like I keep telling Alan about basketball. Anyone can play basketball. Certain people have a talent to be good at it, and you can pick up a ball and throw it. That's playing basketball. I'm saying anyone can play it to a degree, but you might not be good at it. You can do it. That's what I'm saying. Everyone has the Force in it, but you might not have any talent, or you might have to have a lot of training to even learn how to pick up the ball and dribble. It might take you a year, but I'm sure you can figure out how to do that after a year. I'm saying to me, it's like a sport. It's there, it's hidden. Maybe you don't have any aptitude for it, but training, I think, can help bring it out. And so that definitely goes against a lot of what we've been kind of taught. Maybe not it goes against, but not obvious what we taught. Oh, it's always been you have to have strong aptitude for the Jedi to grab you, abduct you. It's in other words, but yeah, but it's to decide to train you. So definitely it's different. But I'm not against it. I just want to know why she chose Sabine. Is it really like, Sabine's here on board, I'm gonna pick her? Because if she's really the worst ever, I think that's a poor choice unless Ahsoka actually saw something else. Maybe in her sleep she had a dream or something like that. I don't know.
Well, so, but remember, John, remember, Kanan started training Sabine.
Not in the Four Ways of the Jedi.
To wield the dark saber. To wield the dark
like
saber, which is a Jedi weapon, though. Because the dark saber was created by a Jedi, the first Mandalorian Jedi, and the only one that was so far.
General Grievous, no ability at all with the Force and the real lightsabers. So I always kind of go, anyone can use like the comic books. Isn't there a
anybody can use
a lightsaber?
Well, there's a stormtrooper that wields a lightsaber.
Han Solo uses a lightsaber too to slice open the tauntaun. So anybody can use a lightsaber, But the thing is that in that episode of Rebels, Hera does tell Kanan, "Hey, why are you training her with sticks? I didn't see you practicing with sticks with Ezra. Is it because she's not force sensitive?" And he says that he wants to try it differently and go slower. But she's like, "Well, you can go slow with Ezra." And so they also reiterate that she doesn't have the Force.
Yeah, so I think it's an odd choice too. I'm not disagreeing with that. The ability, I think you can train to be better at it, but I still think talent is part of it big time. You could train every day of the rest of your life, you'll never be as good as LeBron James at basketball. So like, there's talent and hard work involved. Yeah, there's talent and hard work. There's a certain aptitude for it. But I definitely think in Star Wars universe, midi-chlorians, I know this is a terrible thing to talk about. It's almost as bad as Purgles, is in every living being. Every living thing.
We can talk about Purgles.
Yeah.
Nobody mentioned midichlorians in this season, in this series, so let's not bring that up.
I'm just saying, I think in Star Wars universe, I think it's in plants. I think it's in every living cell. I think
yes, in every living.
And there's a concentration, and the concentration helps the talent and aptitude part.
Actually, it's in every living thing, whether or not you're sentient. So even non-sentient beings can be force sensitive.
Yeah, I think like plants, any kind of living cell. I think
like the Isalamiri.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Yoda made it pretty clear that the Force resides in everything, and we're luminous beings, and we're not just this crude matter, right? Like the actual physical being. Be interesting. I'm actually get Mike's point of view of like we've seen Sabine with the Darksaber. We know she trained with Ahsoka. Now she's training again. Like, I'm okay if they. I believe Dave is going to write it in a way that's going to make sense, and I would be okay if she becomes force sensitive, and I'm also okay if she's not. Like, yeah. I can go either way on that because I think he's going to write it in a way that whatever story is told, it's going to make sense.
Mm-hmm. Now I do recall, Bryce, but in Rebels when she was failing at her training with Kanan. Because Kanan had her spar with Ezra, and she was losing every time until, who was it that the Mandalorian told her, "Here, use these weapons that we've used historically against Jedi." Gar Saxon, right?
No, and then once she started... no, it was Rao.
Finn Rao.
Yeah, Rao.
Yeah.
Finn Rao. Yeah.
Finn Rao.
So once she started incorporating that in addition with her training, then she was more successful, and I think that's what Ahsoka told her too. You have to.
But she didn't use any of those gimmicks when she beat Kanan. Remember that.
She didn't. But the thing is, she had to tap into herself, who she truly is. And I think it's her finding herself, her true self.
Yeah.
There might be something to where, God, the droid, what did he say?
Hu Yang.
He said something like, there's not a lot of Mandalorian Jedi. So maybe it's something with their chemistry that they are Jedi. Some become Jedi, but they don't really show it differently. They almost just like how the wizards and witches use the Force different. Maybe Mandalorian Jedi use the Force different. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops.
Well, it's funny that they say Mandalorian
I read
Jedi
about the Mandalorian that. Right.
Go ahead, Mike.
I read that the reason why the Jedi did not like the Mandalorian is because they were very warlike. And so because they were very aggressive and wanting to go into battle and war, that it wasn't conducive to the Jedi way. So they didn't really, even if somebody was possibly force sensitive, they would not have inducted them because they felt that their ways were not in tune with what the Jedi believed in. But sorry, Bryce.
No, when I thought Hu Yang, which we need an official club, Hu Yang, by the way, because he's awesome. He does say like Mandalorian Jedi, right? Like plural. But when we talk about the history of the Darksaber, the only Mandalorian we really talk about as a Jedi is Tar Vizsla, who is the original. I didn't know. Like, to me, I know it got passed down, and it was a symbol of leadership, and you follow that person. But was Bo-Katan wasn't a Jedi, right? And, so I don't know, like, as it passed down, now it's like, now I'm curious, like, who are these other Mandalorian Jedi and what kind of lightsabers did they wield? Because they could have all wielded the Darksaber, right? So it kind of brought up an interesting thing for me is that there's more than one. Now I kind of want to know what that history is.
I didn't pick up on that. I just thought like the one, or if there wasn't a lot, then yeah, it's very, very over the millennium, maybe two.
No, he did say it was plural, so I agree with Bryce. I did catch that too in the episode.
Yeah, I didn't really catch that.
He mentioned that there weren't very many, so that implies that there's more than one. So I'm also wondering, well, who are these others? And they must have been maybe trained by Tar Vizsla himself, since the Jedi Order wouldn't train them.
Or they were
way that
Yeah.
That's true.
All right. Yeah. One thing I have to talk about is this trope that's already happened in the Star Wars universe once, and it happened so many times as a storytelling device, and it just drives me nuts. Is when you know something is happening, you need help, and you go to who you need help, and Hera went to the Senate and they denied her, and that scene just drove me nuts. I hated that scene. You have a general that literally busted a whole facility, and the largest hyperspace thing she's ever seen was taken off planet, and they shot at her, and she couldn't get a strike force to go look at it. I'm like, should I go ask the Senate? I know it's a storytelling device, and that's why the Senate is a pain in the butt. But man, did that drive me nuts, man! I was yelling at the TV. I was like, "Oh, come on, you guys! It's a general." And really, what it is she. I think the other senator made her turn it personal, and she got personal back, and she should have focused on the fact, hey, there's a giant giant hyperspace that left the facility that's all Empire loyalists. Attack me, and I have a tracking device. I need to go send. There's not a committee in the world would have said no. Said because she got personal, started talking about Thrawn and Ezra. And I think they shot it down because of that.
And she got emotional.
Yeah.
When when Ezra was brought up, I didn't mind the scene, Jonathan, and the reason why is because I think it's going to make her make a choice. At some point, I think she makes a choice. I also think she walks away from the New Republic. That's my hot take with Hera. I think she says, you know what, I'm going to do what I feel is right, and she's going to go back to that Rebels Hera, where always doing the right thing, right, always seeing the big picture. And I don't think she's going to let the Senate and the New Republic stop her from doing that. And I think we see that choice in the next couple episodes. For sure.
I agree. She's going to follow her. She's going to follow her moral compass. She's going to follow her moral compass the same way that General Organa had to do it, Leia, because she also had to leave the Senate and create what were they called? The Resistance, right? Because that was not sanctioned by the New Republic. So, but she knew she had to do what was right in the sequel trilogy, right? Yeah. So I think Hera is following Leia's path, and that Leia said, hey, we need to do these things. And they were like, no, we have to follow our protocols. And that was just mucking everything up. And Leia's like, no, my moral compass is I need to do this. And so she created the Resistance in response to her moral compass. The same way that I agree. I think Hera's going to do the same. But one thing I do want to give a shout out for Hamado Ziono, the senator who is a jerk. He is Kazuda Ziono's father. And so that was really cool to have that connection
from
to
Resistance
the
or whatever it was called.
I
from Hosnian Prime.
Yeah, So he was a senator from Hosnian Prime.
He was such a word. I don't know if I can guess here, but
he was. But even in Resistance, his father was. And
yes, 100%.
It's true,
yeah,
true to character.
100%. Yeah. So no, that's cool.
I did like
that. That was cool.
Oh wait, so is he still part of the Senate in the Resistance?
No, because he's governor at that time.
So he gets promoted?
Yes, he's governor
I was thinking maybe he's governor. A loyalist, but
he's no, he's not. He's governor of what's that planet?
Hosnian Prime.
Hosnian Prime. He's the governor of Hosnian Prime, but he was taken off planet when it was destroyed. So that's the big emotional reveal when when Kaz thinks that his parents have been killed, he feels really guilty because they're still his family, and you still love your family no matter what. So, yeah,
that
he did get promoted.
Is a little bit of spoiler on that character because I didn't know that. So I was honestly thinking he's a loyalist, and at the end of the series he's gonna get his. But no, he's just a douche. I can say douche. Apparently he's just a douche.
He is a douche. He was a douche in Resistance too, though, so it's okay.
Yeah, he's pretty hard.
Those are his spots.
All right, Mike. You said you had some notes you want to talk about.
I do have some notes. So another thing I'm really super excited. Two things I want to bring up. The one is Hu Yang training Sabine to use her lightsaber, and he's got his 4 arms like General Grievous.
Yeah,
and he's using the hologram lightsabers, and she's using a stick. So that's awesome training, because that's really what we should have seen with those younglings when Yoda was giving them real lightsabers, because they could have like lopped off somebody's
Hey,
head.
they have some aptitude for the Force, though.
But even so, and one thing I've learned from the Jedi, what's the new Jedi show with in the High Republic of the younglings? What is that show called?
Young Jedi Adventures.
Yeah, in
Young
Young
Jedi
Jedi
Adventures.
Adventures, in Young Jedi Adventures, we learned that there's different settings on the lightsabers, and so the younglings actually have a safe setting where it just stuns. It doesn't actually cut through.
Oh, so
I
that's what happened
thought
when
that-
Anakin
I
walked
thought
through
that
that
was-
room.
I thought that was canon to begin with. I thought those settings have been mentioned before. But there are
Possibly,
different settings
but
on
it's
a
really
lightsaber.
clear in the Young Jedi Academy that they do have those different settings, because
Yeah.
I just
That's
rewatched
a
some of
great
those episodes.
great
Yeah,
cartoon.
I love that series. Yeah.
One
So
thing
that
about
wait, I'm not finished. So that,
Oh.
and also Ahsoka suggesting that he use the Zatachi method, which Zatachi was from the Japanese novelist Kan Shimazawa, and he was a blind masseur and swordsman. So that's we see that with Donnie Yen's character Chirrut Imwe from Rogue One, as well as Jedi Ram Koda and Kanan Jarrus were both blind. So that type of training, Zatachi, is a connection to that, which is the samurai are awesome, and also to those other Jedi. And I love Ram Koda
Well,
because Ram Koda is a connection to Starkiller.
we see that to a degree in A New Hope when Luke puts on the pilot and with the blast shield where he couldn't see it. That's
Right.
the same thing.
Right,
Just
but
he
we
wasn't-
didn't know it
He
was
was dealing with the remote
Zatachi.
versus
They didn't name that it was the
True.
Zatachi training, so I like that reference to that.
Did you know that off the top of your head, or when you saw Zatachi or heard it, you looked it up? Because that's a
I
deep
sure
cut.
did. I looked it up. I'm
You know, Mike.
I,
You know,
I
Mike.
have
That's-
notes. I have notes.
I thought maybe you knew. I was like, man, that's.
Well,
One thing-
my big thing is I love Heir to the Empire. I love Tim Zahn, and I love all the stuff from that Legends that I want to see as much of it come back as possible, because I think it's awesome. So I love Tim Zahn's writings, and all of this is connecting back to all of that.
On that scene, I noticed two things in that fight scene. The stick she's using is like katana type. It's not like a lightsaber with cylinder. It's almost like the dark saber, which you trained with, flat blade, edge top like that. A lot like the dark saber, same I guess profile.
Mhm.
So I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's cool, because that's what she had trained. She hasn't trained with a cylinder lightsaber, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Correct.
And then this goes back to me thinking Ahsoka's like Batman right now, but this is a Batman Robin relationship. You need to get up to speed, and I probably care about you on the inside, but I'm not going to show you that I care about you. This is like, and if you know anything from Batman Robin, they argue a lot, especially during training and fight a lot. But that's what this was like. I mean, and this goes back now. Batman. Now you have Robin. She's all over training her Robin the best that he can be. So I thought that was really interesting on that. It reaffirmed she's Batman right now. Do you have any other notes, Mike?
Oh, I got a lot of notes, but Bryce, you want to chime in on that or anything?
I just get I kind of want to talk about the end of the episode more so than anything, because that's what kind of is getting me hyped up for next week.
Okay, well, I do have another note. I want to talk about Jason Syndulla and his green hair.
Oh,
Jason
yes, we should.
He was my next note. So yeah.
Okay, good. We're right in sync. So the
yeah.
Jason Syndulla showing up with green hair, and if you look at it, well, one little complaint: when I was watching Sabine training with Hu Yang, I kept seeing the blinds were flickering, like something was wrong with the rendering and the special effects. I don't know if you noticed that, but there's kind of like a little flicker when I watched it. On the rewatch,
Your TV.
It was in my TV. Okay, because on the rewatch it was
I don't
not
know.
flickering as
I
much.
didn't notice what you're seeing. Yeah.
So I think they're repairing it, kind of like when they had the Gene guy that was in initially when it came out.
I missed that. I'm so upset about
because they fixed it. They fixed it. So I watched it immediately when it came out, and I noticed the flickering. On my rewatch, the flickering had been fixed. but not completely. There was still one spot where it flickered. So I'm guessing they're putting stuff out, and I think that Jason's hair was going to be brown because that's why the Lego set came out with brown hair. But then they got so much feedback looking at the fans saying, "Hey, you should have green hair," that green hair looks kind of like a fix. It doesn't look like his hair was
like
dyed or a wig.
they
Yeah,
tweaked the hue.
they tweaked it.
Yeah.
Yes, because look at it. It doesn't look quite right. But I'm glad they brought the green
But
hair back.
I'm okay that it doesn't look quite right because like he still had a kind of similar hairstyle that he did in Rebels.
Yes.
I understand he was all green and whatever. Like this is the live action version, but I love how the Lego thing is what we focused in on. Like, what if Lego got it wrong? What if Lego did that on purpose so that we'd have something to complain about? So when the show came out, we'd be like, "Oh my god, it's green hair!"
Well, Lego
Come
gets
on,
things wrong all the time
they
because
do stuff like
they're
that.
based on whatever information they're given, which is not always complete.
Correct.
But the other thing about Jason too is his name. So Jason Syndulla. There's another famous Jason from the EU that
Jason
we're all
Solo.
familiar with. Jason
Yeah.
Solo. And so I'm thinking that that's going to have, and then he wants to be a Jedi. So if he does become a Jedi, where is he going to go train? Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy. Jason's he's about 4 years older than
That's cool
Ben
to think
Solo.
about. Luke can train a Jason. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That really
or Hera might decide, you know what? If she leaves, she might decide, let's just have some homeschooling with Ahsoka. She's probably not a believer in Luke.
Yeah, I don't know because I know with the rise of Kylo Ren comic, there were quite a few students. You feel like I'd almost feel like it would have been written in there if Jason ever trained with Luke. We might have known about that by now.
I
I
think
it's
Filoni's
But they didn't show all the students though. They didn't show all the students. They showed a handful.
I don't think
yes.
I think Filoni's making his own universe that we're going to try and attach to everything. I don't think he's. We know that his stuff doesn't always get canon, contradicts some books and stuff. So I don't think Filoni's going to try and make sure his stuff fits in with other people, especially like comics or books and stuff like that. I mean, his own cartoon had a little tweak ending to this where she was holding the staff and stuff. So I can see Filoni doing his own tweaks. So yeah, I wouldn't hold Filoni to the rest of canon, especially with a comic book or stuff like that.
That's fair. I mean,
but remember, Jonathan,
I just don't.
Filoni did.
You broke up. Did we lose you?
Filoni did have. Yeah, Filoni. I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Filoni did. That's all I heard.
Okay, so Filoni did have Ahsoka present at Padme's funeral. So but it was like off to the side. So even though you didn't see it in the movie, he fixed it so she was there. So maybe Jason Syndulla was in the other wing of the Jedi Academy in the comic. So he can still, I think he does do little fix-ups like that, where it is possible that Jason was somewhere else in the academy. I mean, he can
visiting Chopper.
I mean, it's
right.
Very possible, but like I said, I think Hera at some point walks away, from the New Republic and war and everything like that, and tries just to lead a peaceful, normal life. Because what makes that scene in Rise of Skywalker very special with all the ships come back is because it's the return of the Ghost, right? Where's the Ghost been this entire time? Like, why wasn't Hera always part of the Resistance, knowing Leia? Because she wasn't there, right? So I think this is a way for her, like, seeing the New Republic, seeing how it's ran, realizing this is what happened again, and saying, I've been in war my whole life, right? Like, that's one line that she says. I've been in war my whole life, because on Ryloth, she was almost pretty much born into the Clone Wars. That's how she met Chopper. That's how, and then she just thrust into the rebellion and everything like that. At some point, I think the mom takes over and says, I'd rather not be in a war anymore, and I would rather raise my kid the way I want to raise my kid, because I don't want Jason growing up in war. I think she makes a choice and does not want him to be a Jedi.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it'd be cool. I kind of want to have a Force Ghost visit from his dad. I think that'd be cool.
That would be cool. See, or a flashback, and having it be Freddie Prinze Jr. I'm still waiting for the Hayden, to show up because obviously he's listed.
Oh yeah, we still have that flashback.
Yeah,
that's going to be good. I'm thinking that's going to be a flashback with Balin. I think it's going to be a Balin flashback.
Yeah, well,
because Balin had mentioned Anakin, knowing him.
Well, because I think I said this. I think I said this last week. I think Balin and Anakin are around the same age, right? Because this is like after Jedi, right? So this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi. We obviously know. If you look when the helmet comes off and you see Sebastian Shaw at Return of the Jedi, and Kenobi, like we feel like that's possibly the same age as
he's
Anakin.
45 years old when he dies, right? I think Anakin is 45 years old when he dies, so he's going to be about. No, it's 45 because he's the same age as Baby Yoda, and Baby Yoda isn't found for 5 years after.
Oh, right.
It's 50 years. Yeah. So, and
right. 45.
Balin easily could be the same age, or a year or two.
Easily.
I think Balin is a little older, and I think Balin was already a master when Anakin was still a Padawan. Because that's
master.
You mean a knight?
I think so. A knight, right? A knight.
Yeah, it's possible he could have been a knight a couple years before that. Anakin was. I'm thinking they're pretty close in age.
Well, I'm thinking because in Outbound Flight, we have the whole story about Joruus C'baoth back during that time is a knight, and he's putting together all the plans to send Outbound Flight. Anakin really looks up to him because he likes the way that Joruus is a gray Jedi. He's more like Qui-Gon. And so Anakin's very attracted to that. And Joruus is really he likes Anakin more than his own Padawan, because she's more traditional, and they almost feel like they should be swapped. Like Joruus should have Anakin, and then Obi-Wan should have his Padawan, but they don't. So I'm thinking that this Balin character is more like a Joruus. That's my take.
I think he's more of a Dooku. Because as Dooku went on. Yeah, but Dooku walked away at one point from Jedi Order to go back home. Right then, that's when he was seduced by the dark side. He kind of walked away from the Order the same way as like Ahsoka did. Difference is that Sidious is the one that drew him into the dark side, and he became Lord Tyrannus. I think Balin was getting to that way. That's why at the end of the Clone Wars, when he disappeared, he had already started phasing himself away from being a quote-unquote Jedi and was more of, like a mercenary with principles is how I kind of think who he is now. Still very stoic, very much in tune with the Force, understands it from a Jedi standpoint, but uses his abilities for his own benefit.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a possibility. I like all of them. I just want more and more Balin stuff. It's flashbacks or it's more now.
Me too.
I just want it all. It'd be cool if more flashbacks, because that could introduce a comic series and stuff like that. I really hope that happens. Pretty much, let's just get into that fight scene at the end. The World War II fighter plane scene is what I got out of it all the way.
Dude. I said the same thing to Sarah. I'm like, oh my gosh, those totally look like, Zeros from World War II. Like,
I think that's like a nod to George, because George loved that stuff. He made Red Tails and all. Just George loved that stuff. So I think, because I've never seen a ship like that, and I'm like, those are World War II.
It was awesome.
Jets. They had the dogfight. I thought that scene was super awesome. I loved that. So
yeah.
And then you had throwbacks to A New Hope, where Sabine is kind of like Luke. And she's, I got one. I thought that was really cool.
The headset she was wearing is very identical to The one Luke and Han wear
it's
in
a wired
episode 4.
headset. I love that.
It's
all this
it's
technology.
the white box on the side.
Yeah, they have a wired headset. So I thought that was a great throwback too.
And Shin's headset that she was wearing is the same as what Anakin and Obi-Wan wore in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Come on, Brent.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. One thing about that scene, I think that was. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that Shin and Marok's TIE fighters do appear to have a similar cabin and fuselage to General Grievous' fighter, the Solus One, but also having the wings of a Republic Z-95 Headhunter. So it was like they cobbled them together from pieces of leftover tech to create their starfighters. And it was like from a Clone Wars era surplus store. You know, they got this stuff and
it
made their
little
ships.
rugged beer. I thought they were great, so I really thought.
I thought it was very, very cool.
I did kind of chuckle a little bit when I was watching Shin fly. She flies how I get intense with the video game. She gets all zoomed in like this, and then even they turn. She's like, she's like super focused. I was like, okay, and then like Maruk would always be like, just stoic, and she's like, I thought that's how I play video games. So I thought that was pretty funny. That made me laugh. I caught that. The Purgles. I know we got to talk about it. I know Drake's gonna lose his mind, but
wait, not yet. Before we get to Purgles, let's talk about the Eye of Sion.
But that's a joint conversation in my mind.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, it's a joint conversation, right?
Because before the Purgles.
Okay,
right,
Mike,
right. But the Eye of Sion is before they go to Purgles. So Eye of Sion is a hyperspace ring. Okay, so not only have these hyperspace transport rings, right, but they've appeared in live-action films like Attack of the Clones and also in animated like the Clone Wars. But they were first mentioned in the Thrawn novels. So a lot of connections to Heir to the Empire and Thrawn's writings because he was the first one to mention hyperspace rings. So yes, so that goes way back. Yes, read them again. Reread.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like, but what makes this one so special? Because obviously we see Kenobi use it, right?
Yeah.
But they're smaller, right? With the Jedi fighters, they're traveling within the galaxy. What makes this one so special is what it has. What did they say? Was it 7 hyperspace?
7
engines?
Yeah.
It had.
Well, they said 6.
It had 6, but they were attaching the 7.
They were attaching 7, which is the one that we see them drop in at the end of episode 2. But what they said is that this one's meant to travel between galaxies, and was it Morgan? I think it was Morgan that said, that's because the Purgil are able to travel between galaxies. So a lot of what they're doing is based on the Purgil's path that they have as a hyperspace lane to travel between galaxies, which explains why Thrawn is not in the same galaxy, because the Purgil can travel between galaxies, and we had never been able to travel that way before. We've all been in the same galaxy and only went from like the center to the mid-rim to the outer rim.
Yeah.
That's why Purgil are essential.
Right.
You think they're going to put like a tracking device on the Purgil to kind of see its path? Or are they going to try and just drift with the Purgil when it takes off? Like, I'm kind of interested in how they're going to do that.
Well, they're using the maps. They're using the
hyperlane. But the hyperlane was based on a Purgil traveling hyperlane. So this is like old school. Like they said, ancient people had already traveled this path, but they probably traveled the path with Purgil. That's why they're aware of it. Purgil have been around forever. We know that. They're not just something that,
Hey, I remember them in A New Hope. Yeah,
I think it has more to do with the Night Sister magic. So the Night Sister magic.
The Night Sister magic.
Night Sister magic with that ancient tech.
Yeah.
I'm choppy, huh? Call me Chopper.
It's all right. Mike Chopper. I guess something else I wanted to touch on was the almost said it. Marok. I don't think is. I know some people said they think he's probably a throwaway character, a grunt. Not anymore. I think now it's been kind of established that he's some kind of mystery box reveal, and I'm leaning more and more towards Sam Witwer's.
Galen Merrick.
Sam Witwer as an actor. It's gonna maybe still be Merrick, like I said, a reimagining of that character, which would be cool. I don't think it's gonna be the exact character, but I think we're leaning towards that. Yeah, it's got to be some kind of mystery box character now. I don't think it's going to be just a throwaway.
I think Marok is going to be Ahsoka's little Leia. Because
Ahsoka's little Leia.
Well, because the Kenobi show was really the surprise thing was the little Leia, and so I think the surprise thing in Ahsoka is going to be Marok, because that's the one thing that we didn't anticipate in this series.
Yeah, it makes me nervous. It's a very, very deep cut that everyone knows who Princess Leia is. It's adorable little princess. It's real obvious. It's going to be a small percentage hardcore fans that know who it is. So that's right. I don't almost want it to be a huge reveal because people are like, "Who the heck is that?" So a soft reveal I think might be better, but we'll see. But I definitely hope it's him. It's got to be someone. That's what I said. It could be.
That could be somebody totally from the Clone Wars that we totally forgot about. Maybe.
Yeah, it's So that's what I'm looking forward to. It's got to be someone. So we'll find out.
I mean, some people think it's Barasafi,
but they already referred to Marek as he.
Oh, I understand, but people still, There's still people
Night
that
Sister
think
Magic can bring back the dead. Remember that?
It's Darth Maul. It's Darth Maul. That's who it is. It's not dying.
It doesn't appear to have mechanical legs. Still, I don't think it's Maul.
The technology is really good. Luke doesn't appear to have a mechanical hand. I'm kidding. It's not Darth Maul.
You got me there.
I guess the last little thing I want to touch on is the credits. All right, we didn't talk about them last week, but I love them. The end scene credits, the map or whatever we're going through.
Very Game of Thrones.
Words out of mouth. Yes. It is a space Game of Thrones credit. It's a Game of Thrones, but in space.
I love it.
I love it. I love it too.
And I am enchanted and enthralled. I want to watch the whole thing. So, but
did you see that they? Have you seen the map that's been transcribed? So what they went through is there was one name.
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
So I have that. It's not something we can talk about. You have to see it and read it. But I don't know. Maybe in a future show we can. I don't know if we're able to share. Yeah. So what I can do is we can share the image so people can see it. But what they did is they took an. Remember with the not the Dark Knight, but the Batman. Since you made the Batman connection, remember the Batman with the Penguin and they had that solve this riddle, and you had letters you could figure out. And you can start figuring out his he lies still was the clue from that with the Patterson Batman.
Oh, you said Penguin. You mean the Riddler?
But I know Penguin's in the Batman. It's played by Colin Farrell. Come on now.
Penguin's in it. Yeah, it's Colin Farrell. But remember in that Batman, they had the whole preview thing with they were characters. The letter from the guy from prison. Remember he had deciphered it, or he had written that letter.
Yeah.
And they were trying to decipher it, but they had it it was a game for fans to try to solve, and you solved it by doing a little alphabet chart, right? So somebody did that alphabet chart for this show for Ahsoka, and they started putting out Corellia's on that map, Itos, all those places, but they started looking at the characters, and they haven't completely deciphered the entire alphabet, but there's enough of it where you can figure it out. So maybe we can share that next time. I'll pop it up.
Okay.
I'll drop it into our chat and we can share it. But it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Final thoughts, guys.
Final thoughts. I do want to mention one thing. Remember when Ahsoka stands outside the ship to be deflecting the laser bolts?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that Ahsoka learned this trick from Anakin because Vader used the TIE fighter as his portable high ground in Star Wars Rebels. Remember that? He was standing on top of the TIE fighter to get his high ground.
I remember I seen Ezra
but Kanan also trained. Yeah, did it in Rebels too.
Yeah, I seen them do it.
Yeah, but Ahsoka was Vader's Padawan.
Yeah. It was I don't know. It wasn't my favorite scene. I'm just glad she didn't do the Mary Poppins to fly through space to the ship. That sounds like don't do that. Don't do that. Thank God. That would have been a little hard to watch.
Kanan did it.
The Mary Poppins thing?
Kanan did it. Yes.
I just
Kanan did it first.
Anything in animation, it's always hard for me to visualize in live action. How they jump and all that stuff. It always kind of, I'm sure it looked different if it was live action. All right. Now, final thoughts.
Very, very excited to see what is going to happen in episode 4. I do believe that the previews that we've seen, the trailers and stuff, this is where Baylan and Ahsoka meet. Obviously, I feel like it's a little bit of Twilight of the Apprentice, maybe from Rebels, because we've got 2 light side lightsaber wielding people, and we have 3 dark side lightsaber wielding people that are going to somehow meet in this episode, whether it's 4 or 5. But over the course of the next 2 episodes, like what takes place on Cetos is going to be massive. I do believe this is where Hera will also show up, and this is where she's made her choice that I don't care. I'm going to come help my friends. She's going to play an integral role in whatever Ahsoka and Sabine do on that planet. So I do feel like we're going to get some big things. Maybe we get the reveal of who Marek is over the next 2 episodes. I wouldn't put it past him, but I really feel like we're going to get some great lightsaber action, and we're going to get some really, really great storytelling in these next two episodes that are going to set the rest of the season all the way into the Filoni movie.
Yeah,
I agree. I think that we're going to get a lot more connections in the upcoming episodes. I'm really excited how it's moving, and I'm really excited to see a lot more of the Heir to the Empire being drawn in to the whole series. A lot of the Thrawn writing. I've got there's got Joris Sabay out there, my personal favorite, and
magic fingers.
Who knows? Maybe it's Mara Jade inside Marek's costume.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Star
knows?
Killer. That's if I was a betting man.
Maybe Mara Jade's training Ezra right now in a galaxy far, far away.
No, that'd be dope. That'd be dope. My final thought was, like I said, the pace was great. I'm super that. This episode was very entertaining for me. Next few episodes I think are pretty important. I think this is where Ahsoka and Baylan finally meet. As you remember from the trailer, and everyone thought they were fighting the world between worlds. It's not the world between worlds. It's that platform.
It's the map.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
thank the maker.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that last time. Thank God it's not world between worlds. It would have been really confusing.
Yes, but, thank the maker.
They're going to meet, and I don't know if they're actually going to lightsaber duel this episode, but I think this episode they're going to have some dialogue, and this is where it's just bombs are going to be dropped. Blah, blah, just like, what? We're going to blow up. Just a conversation between the two. Maybe have flashbacks while they talk. I think that's going to be super excited, so I'm excited for that. And maybe we see a little more lightsaber action between Sabine and Hati. I think we're going to see kind of a duel with them, so we will see. All right, guys. Thank you a lot for watching our show with us. It's a brand new thing for us, trying to get this going. So if you have any comments, please leave comments here on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever you're watching on. We'll try and get to them and talk to you guys about it, and maybe bring them up on the show next week. Make sure you are following us on YouTube, the Virtual Cantina Network, on Instagram at the Virtual Cantina Network, and Twitter or X at Cantina Virtual.
At Cantina Virtual,
And and Threads at Virtual Cantina Network, and Hive at Virtual Cantina, and on TikTok at Virtual Cantina. And our mother page or father page, whatever you call it, the Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025. Pretty much what all this comes out of this on Facebook. Like that, follow that. That's where you're going to get all of us, our goodness, and all our other shows. Thank you for watching.
Yes.
See you guys next.
Yes. If you're on YouTube, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe, and then hit the bell for notifications so you know when all the shows on the VCN will be debuting.
And be sure to check out all our other shows. We have a whole week of programming available, so like and subscribe to those as well. And may the Force be with you all.
May the Force be with you guys. Thank you.
May the Force be with you.